Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your ITFC match reaction, a live fan reaction to tonight's Portsmouth 2, Ipswich Town 2. Is it a point gained, or is it, in fact, 2 points dropped? We'd love to hear from you this evening. It may well be a quicker turnaround type show than we're perhaps used to for these match reaction shows. Not feeling the best, but I never want to let you guys and girls down at home, so we're going to try and smash through what we can. And let's see what you think about your football team this evening. Phil Blundell, YouTube member, would take a point. Blur, not the worst point, but needs to be better. Half the game, we didn't look like scoring, but a decent away point. A big shame to drop a third, though. 2 points drop for Rob Smith, whereas Lewis says, I think we have to take these games or result in isolation. Given the illness in the squad, pretty toothless at times, but he kept plugging away. Could be a massive point come May. It is, of course, our last match reaction show of the new year. Finish with a bang. Become a Talking Town fifth stunner today. Hit the join button on YouTube or head to our kofi. Sign yourself up, $4.99. Yeah, and you get fantastic content, I believe. At a fantastic price. Right. Joining me, first of all, is Richard. How are you, Richard? How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Good man. It's finished 2-2 at Fratton Park. First of all, let's just have a quick word on maybe a topic that won't come up as often as it perhaps should, the OG camera angles. Were you loving the OG camera angle tonight?
Well, I was having all sorts of issues with iFollow, so I spent a lot of the time, unfortunately, listening rather than watching.
That's absolutely
fine. But I think from the sounds of what people were saying in Discord, I probably was almost better off not being able to see a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is it. It was the Rocky Horror Story. It didn't start off well inside the first, 5, 6, 7 minutes, shall we say. A wonder of a free kick. What is it about us starting slow? We don't always start slow. I'm not making this a thing we always do, but we have been known to start slow. And I always felt Portsmouth, particularly having come through the injuries or the illnesses that they had at home, the Cowleys fighting tooth and nail for their jobs. You would think when the boos rang out at full time at a 2-2 draw, they were always going to be on that front foot in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes. So what do you think we were perhaps a bit sluggish out of those?
I think there's a little. I do genuinely think there has been a lot of illness, and I don't think that was McKenna trying to play mind games. I think the team that we've put out tonight, that 18 is our best 18, but whether it's a fully fit 18 is a completely different kettle of fish, I think. And you say we start slow, and we did start slow on Boxing Day, and we did tonight. But that's actually the first goal we've conceded in the league in the first 15 minutes this season.
There you go.
There you
go. Stat drop there from Richard Chandler.
And there was, until the weekend, till Boxing Day, we were one of only 4 teams in the whole country that hadn't conceded in the first 15.
That's gone now.
Which has gone. But I think before the game, I'd have took a point away at Portsmouth. We're still only lost 3 games this season. We're still second. We're going into the new year and a transfer window where everyone knows there's a few places we could do with strengthening,
sure.
Especially with illnesses. So,
well, this is it. Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of saw that tonight. I mean, for me, we kind of saw the best and the worst of Ipswich Town in the sense of we saw character and resolve and gumption and the champion spirit. We also saw sloppiness. 2 of the goals. I mean, the first one, I don't think it's a free kick. We'll go through that through the course of the evening. But the second one is just poor defending from every single body, except probably Chaplin, who'd have to be like 9 foot tall to stop the cross there. But it's just sloppiness. And then you're looking at the bench and you're thinking you're 2-1 down. Well, what have we got? And you're bringing on, Sean Aluko, who doesn't have the stats that suggest he's going to make a surefire impact in this. Carl Edwards is a young, raw prospect, got a couple of goals to his name this year. And Caden Jackson, where you're thinking, is that the reinforcement element you think we're hearing every week on the podcast, Richard, where people are saying we need to bring those extra bodies in?
I think so. I think there's a few things there. I think that we need strength in depth. We've got the money to be able to go and get 2 or 3 players without a doubt this transfer window. I think they've probably already done deals. I think Luongo's going to be signing a deal, and that's just a case of when that happens, not if. And I think there will be a marquee signing, which isn't something that we always do. And people keep going, oh, we need to bring in someone. I don't know what the stats actually are, but I bet Stuart didn't get more than about 7 or 8 goals the season that we got promoted. They were just key goals.
Yeah.
And that's all you need.
Yeah. It's that reinforcement off the bench a little bit for me, where you've got that, when Ladapo isn't firing like he wasn't tonight, what are you introducing? David, thank you so much for the €10. Thank you so much, brother. It really means a lot, particularly this evening. So thank you. Thank you. Before I let you go and bring in Lionel, you're man of the match tonight, Mr. Chandler.
I'm going with Chaplin because he scored the goal that's got us the point. And he's proven that he could. If you can't get a striker, maybe you play him up front because he has played up front in the past and he clearly can score goals. But I just think you'd lose a bit of his other play if you do that. I just think he never stops running. Even when he hasn't looked in the greatest of form, he's still put in so much effort and clearly tries every game. And we've not had that in the past in some of our players that have been our best players.
Yeah. And it was really pleasing, just as a side, at the end when we've scored, we've grabbed the ball and we're not sitting for that point where we're looking now to go and get all 3, which is a real character and a real boost. And a lot of teams would have settled there and thought, we're back in the game. Let's just, particularly after Charlton, let's put our foot on it now and just take this point home with us, because we were walking out 5 minutes ago with 0, having gone goal behind twice. So again, another good character trait from them. Mr. Chandler, I appreciate you coming on tonight, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your evening and Upper Town. All right. All the best. Lionel, how are you, sir?
Hello, mate. I'm good.
Good man. Look, let's start with that first free kick. Is it a free kick?
No, not for me. The ball's halfway down the other end of the field by the time that Portsmouth have fallen over, rolled around and done Portsmouth things, but it is what it is. You can't take away that it was an amazing free kick.
It was a phenomenal.
I've seen people calling out Walton for his positioning, but I think it's just one of those free kicks. No matter where you put your goalkeeper, it was that good. It was going.
It's off the post, so I mean, it's about as far as it can get without going wide, isn't it? Really, let's be honest. That would work.
I think Walton will save you more points than he'll lose you this year. So yeah, for sure. And then obviously we had the free kick, and this is not us, or me certainly being a Town fan and having blue rose tinted glasses this evening, because I feel that for our equaliser, Alex, you probably could have picked 2 or 3 players out for offside. And you could have had a case either way. And if they'd flagged for it, not much of an argument. The officials just for me tonight were, again, they just weren't good enough. No, but, I think I'll take that, because how many times this year have those decisions gone against us? You look at Marcus Harness against Barnsley. You look at, various other decisions that have gone against us due to poor refereeing. And it levels out, and it went for us tonight. So, I think this was a huge point. I think this will be a huge point.
Do you think it'll be a huge point? Because I do have to say, I do look at the league table, looking at how it transpired. Their illnesses. I know we've got our own, but the starting 11 was what you would arguably put as our strongest 11.
Yeah,
it is for me 2 dropped. It is for me 2 dropped, particularly after Lincoln, Cheltenham, and Fleetwood. And I will bang that drum about those 3 games until the cows come home, because you can't F up there and then sort of call tonight where Portsmouth now sit in the table. I mean, where are they sitting in the table? Some ridiculous. God knows. I can't even see them on the bit of paper I've got here. I'm sure they're in there. I'm sure they're in there.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you've got to look at it in the sense that in years gone by, we wouldn't have rallied and got that point. We wouldn't have done it. It wouldn't have happened. And at the end of the day, you can't understate the mindset that, yes, it's tightened it up to the point where Plymouth are now 4 or 5 points ahead. And you've got Sheffield Wednesday that are now level, but at the end of the day, you've still got that mentality that we go into Lincoln on Monday, second in the league behind Plymouth.
Yeah, there is your league table this evening. Plymouth obviously leading the way. A decent result tonight against Wickham. I keep saying they'll fall. They keep showing no signs of that. Town in second with Wednesday. There's no now gap. And of course, then you have Barnsley entering the mix with 2 games in hand. If they've got to win those, of course. But if they win those, Alex, it's in a 4-horse race for me. And we're just not helping ourselves. And I know we're saying we can get ourselves to January, but I said it on last night's show. I'll say it again tonight. We're leaving our manager in a position where he's looking to the bench and he's got, where's the impact? Where's the quality for me off that bench? You know, it's just not there. Had me not, I think he might have been ill, not quite sure. Jackson, never been a proven goal scorer. I've been his biggest fan. But there we go. Trevor Amos still waiting for the Plymouth to blow up, like some say. Let's go to the last game. Alex Wilson has lost his sound, so I'll just drop him out. I'll bring in Curtis while Alex sort of tries to sort himself out. Curtis, how have you seen tonight's 2-2 draw?
It was a bit. I think we've salvaged a point there, haven't we? I think it's about as best as what I can say. I don't think we played that well. I think to be honest, I thought the tactics tonight were quite. I think if I'm honest, I think they were quite poor. I thought the substitutions were quite late considering how poor we were playing. Although dominating possession, I don't think we actually did much with it. We do lack that cutting edge, and sometimes I do feel like we don't really know a plan B. So I'm one of them.
Is it a case of that, Kurt, or is it a case you haven't got the game changers, as Thomas Legg says here? You know what I mean? Like again tonight, the subs off the bench, aren't they bona fide game changers?
Oh yeah, that's the issue. I mean, you look towards our bench and what you've got Jackson coming on in place of Ladapo. Doesn't fill you with confidence, especially up front. I don't think he is there to play. I don't think he should be played up front. I think if anything, he should be played on the wing.
That's the issue, obviously, with TJJ going down. Hadmi possibly being ill. You are down to Jackson, who is that can play wide, can play centrally. I mean, I think I'm with you. I think he's more of a wide forward, but you got no options.
I just think tonight as well. I thought Wes Burns did nothing all game. I thought it was unusual that he was kept on the pitch for so long, especially if he has been suffering with illness. I mean, he looked like a man who's been suffering with illness all game because he just didn't seem like he was having those bursts of running into the box like he has normally. I just think we did look lethargic, and obviously that might be a part to play on the supposed illness that we've had in camp, but. I don't know. I'm happy to grab the point away, but I think tonight we got that point by, dominating possession, but doing absolutely naff all with it. Really.
What were your thoughts on Ladapo this evening, Kurt?
Just it's exactly what I expect of him. I think some games he can play 9 to 10 out of 10, and he can be the best forward. Like you'll grab on his day in League One. But I think. Like many League One players, I think he'll just have those games where he's a 5, he's a 5, 6 out of 10, very average, doesn't light up the world. It's what I expect from League One players. It's not again tonight. It's just very unusual. I find sometimes we do a lot of tippy tappy, and although as proven by our position in the league, it does work, and it has worked quite a bit. I just think there are some games where. You need a different type of striker, which unfortunately, I think, as you alluded to there, I think the options that we've got in the building at the moment, we haven't got that type of striker who is different enough from Ladapo to deal in this sort of game. That's why Jackson doesn't work in this type of game, as proven by his cameos at Hadmi. I don't think he would have worked. I don't know what sort of striker you'd put in his position. But tonight certainly wasn't Ladapo's night, in my opinion. Someone might say that he played really well, tried to hold up play, but for me, it's just I don't know. I think overall, I think whilst dominating possession and the stats looking amazingly on our side, I just think we were very toothless.
Yeah, I mean, from memory, I can only really think of maybe one, maybe possibly 2 chances of clear cut. I'd call chances for Ladapo. That's that one who's played in by Harness. And he does everything right. He just drags it ever so slightly across that back post. And, I'd like to see him hit the target from there. But we have to remember, he is a League One striker. And that's no disrespect to the player. He's 400 times the player I'm ever going to be. But, you sometimes expect world-class performances from players 2 days after they've played again. No excuse. But, you know, it's those inconsistencies we've seen from him, isn't it? Where he's had one good game, you're thinking we're up and running, and then we've had that little bit of a.
It's in my opinion that's a League One striker. It's unfortunately you're going to get it's very much a roller coaster. You are going to have games where he looks the best thing since sliced bread. You're going to have games where he looks 10 out of 10. But unfortunately, games like tonight where it just he does look very, very average. And again, I wouldn't say that's just down to him, because the problem is we're playing one up front. Is if everyone behind you plays poorly, you then do become isolated yourself. So it's not all down to Ladapo in terms of how he plays. I think, in my opinion, his performance also rests on how everyone plays behind him. And unfortunately today, I think we just did a very average performance. And unfortunately, Ladapo is like that star at the top of the Christmas tree. I think it took it down a bit early before the end of the year. And I think
a lot of people are taking their tree down already. Mike D, win at Lincoln. It's a good point. Looking forward to seeing who we sign in January. Gov, get the hot tidies in. Mike D, I really appreciate that £10 super chat. Thank you so much, particularly tonight. It really means a lot. I didn't want to let you guys and girls at home down by not doing a fan reaction show, and with 223 people watching us live, and your kind contribution there, and David's, of course. I'm really appreciative. Thank you ever so much. If you are watching this live and you can't do a super chat, that's absolutely fine. It's just been Christmas. I understand. Do hit the like button instead. Whatever you can do to help the platform is incredibly grateful. Bishop, 1 shot, 1 goal. Ladapo, 2 great chances, neither on target, says Jack. Track the boy for Swan. I hope you're well. We don't have that spark or quality in the final third. We also created very little from the possession. Who was your sort of man of the match tonight, Kurt, before we bring in Alex? Or bring back up?
I think it was very difficult to really decide a man of the match. I think for me, I would probably say Morsey was my man of the match, but it is so difficult to pick a man of the match tonight. But I would go for Morsey purely on the fact that he did his job in the middle. It wasn't spectacular. Out of all the 6, it's like the 6/7 rated players tonight. I mean, no one gets a 7 in my opinion, but some probably will in others. But in terms of me, he was the best 6 out of 10 on that pitch. But it's one of I sound quite downbeat about getting a point away from home, but it's not so much about just salvaging a point. It's more so just the way we played tonight. I mean, the stats make us look like we absolutely dominated that game, and we were all over him for the whole 90 minutes. But for me, there was a lot of tippy tappy around the middle of the pitch, which again, it's there to stat pad and it's there to make you look good. But when you watch the game, did we really look that good tonight? Like, in my opinion, no. I think for me, we did just look very average, and then the good thing is for us, it looks as though we are one of the better sides. But I think January can't roll around soon enough, to be honest. Because I think come January 1st, January 2nd, I think you need to. In my opinion, I think you need someone in on the day it opens. I think you need to bring someone in, get that hype going. Chuck them, if you can, whoever they are, chuck them straight into that squad, give it a boost, because I think now you're starting to see the effects of a lethargic team. You're starting to see the effects of what the winter period has done, whether that's be injuries, illnesses. You're starting to see that tiredness, I think, creep through. But yeah, tonight, in terms of man of the match, for me, out of all the average performances, I think Morsey, just purely because he does the job he needs to every week. And whilst tonight it might not have been as spectacular as other weeks, it was just a solid performance again.
Perfect. Curtis, as always, apologies on the no pre-game show, but thank you ever so much, and a Merry Christmas to you. Thank you ever so much. All the best. Alex, people are obviously in two minds. Good point, bad point. Plymouth are starting to pull away. They are doing what we perhaps should have done. We've had the chances to do. We just haven't taken it. And Wednesday back equal. What are your thoughts? What have fans got to hang their positivity hat on tonight for you?
I think, at the end of the day, we're hitting the 2 points a game ratio at the minute. I think targets are identified in January. And I think that is the thing, because I think we've sat here for a few weeks and said that we need this, that, and the other. And I think if we know it, Mr. Ashton in his dashboard knows it and moves are already being made, which hasn't been the hasn't been how this club is run in years gone by. I think tonight showed character in the sense that we would have lost that game, like, possibly even last year. The fact that we've got that mentality to go and score 3. The mentality is there in the squad, and they want it, and you can see they want it. And we've had so many squads over the years that just been so lethargic and here for a paycheck, or here to end their career. That's not the mentality we've got anymore.
Sure. No, very true. Very true. You're man of the match tonight. Who stood out for you?
I'd say Lee Evans.
Oh, okay. Before I bring in Mike, tell me about Lee Evans. What about him tonight?
Just some of the balls he puts in. I think he just sees a pass before other players do. If we need someone to go and switch the play from one side to the other, then he can do that. I think the fact that you look at how we were against Oxford and how we were again tonight. I think we're a better player when you've got Lee Evans and Sam Morsey together. I think that midfield just runs better with those two, and I think having him back can sort of. Yes, Humphreys came on and did an amazing job for a 19-year-old in his absence, and we shouldn't take that away from him. But Humphreys can now go back and sort of develop at that slower rate and not have that pressure of being the next coming. So for me, I think we're much better. I think this year we're now seeing the Lee Evans that we thought we were going to get, and I think he's not the quickest, but I think just his vision and a lot of what good stuff that we do comes through him.
Okay, perfect. Alex, as always, a pleasure talking to you. Merry Christmas to you, brother.
Merry Christmas, have a good one.
All the best. Fisherman, I've got a couple of questions for you. Before I ask those, what are your thoughts on tonight's 2-2 draw?
I thought it was abysmal, to be honest.
Okay.
I was sick and tired of fans making excuses about why we're not doing this and why we're not doing that. Oh, it's okay by the end of the season. We're not at the end of the season. We are where we are. Yes, we are second. But our record against the top 8 isn't great. In fact, I think out of the top 8, we're 8th when people play each other. At the beginning of the season, or even right through to, say, mid-season, everybody was saying how great our strength and depth is. Now it's as weak as hell.
Okay.
Everybody's praising Walton, saying he's a brilliant keeper and all that. Well, I'm sorry, since Sheffield Wednesday, I think he's been really poor. I mean, as a keeper, when you're setting up for a free kick, you cut when you've got your wall, you set up 2/3 for your wall to protect.
Yeah, but to be fair, this free kick was central. It was centrally.
And a third for yourself. Tonight, it was 1/8. He was so far to his near post that I could have scored that goal. That goal ball wasn't hit hard. It was just hit accurately. And I think if Walton had been over more, he'd have got that ball.
I disagree. I disagree just purely because of the position of the free kick. It's central. The player can go either direction. Your wall can only do so much. As a goalkeeper, you've got to make a gamble. And the moment you gamble,
good goalkeepers save that.
Okay, all right, fair point.
Good goalkeeper. Sorry,
your opinion, as always, you respect it.
And I don't think he's been particularly great with his kicking. I was at the game. I was at the game on Boxing Day, and there was times where his kicking was all over the place.
Okay.
His distribution was poor. He chucked it out to Burns when he should.
But we are still second, Mike. We're 49 points. We're the top goal scorers in the division.
Top goal scorers, and we're second, only on goal difference. We've got Plymouth, who many fans said, "Oh, that's all right. They'll fall away. They'll fall away. Don't worry. They haven't got it. They'll fall away. They're now 4 points clear of us."
But you could say we've now come.
We have to go on facts, Martin. We're second on goal difference.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we have got more points than we did last season. It's about where we finish at the end of this season that matters. I don't want another year in this league.
I agree.
And if fans happy to walk away with a point at Portsmouth, who are mid-table, give your heads a wobble. We should be beating teams like that. Mid-table teams you beat, and you get your away performances against mid-table teams. You should be getting results.
I'm not going to challenge you on that. I do think tonight is probably a missed opportunity, but you could argue we have had a rash of injuries to the point where we are playing. Whether you think he is a very good young player or not, he is still a young player that player running games. And you could argue to still be second, albeit by goal difference, doesn't matter how you're there, after that run of injuries, to now be on the other side, entering January with players returning fit. It's a really commanding position that they've put themselves in and ridden some storms of a season, which all promotion teams have to ride at some point. You could argue that.
We've been riding it since Sheffield Wednesday, Martin.
But we're still second. So it doesn't matter how long. That storm might be very long, might be very short.
I'm not
still riding
that, but it's like I said, these are the games. Like I always say, I've said this for a long while. These are games like this against mid-table teams or whatever. They're your bread and butter points for promotion, right? When you go away to Plymouth and if you get a draw, you expect it against the top side. You go to Sheffield Wednesday, you get a draw, you expect it. You win your home games. Do you know what I mean? And tonight, where was Leif Davis and Burns running down to the byline? Not once did I see either of them do that. And yet on where are we? Tuesday or Boxing Day, that's what they did. Yeah, that's what they did. Neither of them did that today. Burns had two men marking him. So why not just run down the byline? Two things are going to happen. You're either going to get whip the ball across the area, or you're going to get a corner off a deflection.
Okay. I'm going to bring in somebody in a minute to counteract. I'm not going to call you negative, but those opinions. A few questions I've got for you from the chat. We've got earlier in the chat, it was we're overcoached. And then Rob Smith says we hold on to the ball too long. Do you agree with that? Do we hold on the ball too long?
Absolutely, we do. We tippy-tappy, far too much messing around. We sometimes we go backwards for the sake of going forwards. Do you know what, right? I thought Lee Evans had a good game tonight. I'm not disputing that, but I thought Morsey wasn't great tonight. Okay. Man of the match, not a chance. He was a 6 at best.
Well, I'll ask you yours in a second. And the second comment is from Thomas Lee.
What I would say, what I was crying out for, I thought what needed to happen, we needed a Humphreys type player to come on because at least he passes the ball forward. You know, we weren't getting that ball forward enough. It was too much sideways and backwards.
Who come on?
I mean, all that possession means bugger all if you're not going to put shots on goal. Well, we had 5 shots on target. And I think 3 of them from outside the area.
Sorry, who come on? Who do you want on?
I said what we needed to happen was for someone like Humphreys to come on.
Right, sorry, I thought you said harness. So I was thinking
rather than sideways and backwards.
Okay. Thomas Legg, JD frustrated Thomas tonight. Could have pressed up more, but didn't. That's JD. Think we could find better. Also, obviously, for me, maybe a bit lapsadaisical marking at the back stick for the goal. How did you view the Dons' performance this evening before I bring in Phil Blundell?
I think it was a bit of a mixed performance. I think it was no worse and no better than anybody else, really. I think there was a great bit of defending for a ball that was played into an unmarked player, Portsmouth player, which was shot and he cleared it type thing. I thought that was a good bit of defending, but then obviously the second goal, I think him or Walton have got to do better than that in that situation.
Okay, perfect. And your man of the match before I let you go? You can say no one if that's how you feel.
Oh, God. Do you know what? Not one person really stood out for me tonight. Not one. And do you know what? I'm gonna give it to Chaplin because he scored and got us a point. I give him some well-deserved stick a few games ago, but he's come good again. And I think, to get that and to be in that position to put that ball in the back of the net. I don't think he was offside. I've seen a couple of replays now. I think when the ball was struck, they were all onside, Martin.
Well, okay. I've not seen it back. I've not seen it back. But Mike, I love you. I appreciate you. Rest up. Get better soon. Thanks for coming on. Merry Christmas.
Nobody wants this, honestly.
Well, I'm after mocking you. I may be coming down with it now. So
well, I'm telling you, mate. I've been in bed. I went to the game Boxing Day, and next day, mate, I've been in bed since. And I've had COVID, and this is a darn sight worse than COVID.
Aren't you the bearer of good news? Lovely. Right. I love you. I appreciate you. Get better soon. We've got €20 from David. Thank you very much, David. I really appreciate it. Honestly, I said that in the show, but I really do appreciate that. Graham, we had their fans quiet until one did his Mr. Tumble routine. As a father of a 2-year-old, Mr. Tumble. Not a name I thought I'd be seeing on a match reaction chat, but there we go. Hello. It's in my head now. I think for me, KBY for JD. And again, Davis didn't jump for their second goal. Championship player going forward, League One defending at best. I'm not going to call Mike negative. He has his opinions. Many will agree with them sat at home and even the terraces. But I'm going to welcome Phil in. Phil, what are your thoughts? You've heard Mike's. Have you got a different view, or are you with Mike?
I have a different view, and I'm going to say the comments tonight have been far too negative for me tonight.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
We're not going
I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
We're not going to outplay every team in this league. And for me, I think Portsmouth had 2 or 3 efforts on target. I thought they were fortunate to get the free kick, which they scored from. It was a good strike. Second goal for me disappointed me more, but look, the way we play.
2 shots, 2 on target, 2 goals.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it was just one of those things that just happened. I think for me, the way that we're playing is I trust McKenna. Okay, I trust his management of the team. I trust the way that he sets up the team to play. Now, put into contrast, we played differently against Oxford on Boxing Day, and it was a convincing 3-0 win. Everyone went home happy, and now just because Plymouth won, just because Sheffield Wednesday won, everyone's saying. Look where we're on the table after 24 games, 49 points in second. Okay, for me, 2 goals away from home is something to cheer about. Okay. I thought the referee was maybe a bit dodgy in the first half.
Was it a free kick for you? Referee watch with Phil Blundell?
No, not for me.
Good man.
No, not for me. I didn't think it was a free kick.
Could Walton save it?
No. Look, I mean, it's one of those things, right? When you see, top quality players take penalties and free kicks, they will aim for the bottom corner, top corner, and the way that Marlon Pack placed that, he placed it right close to it was on the post. So there's not really many goalkeepers in League One that's going to get close to that, and I just think that it was a very well taken goal. Unfortunately for us, a bit of a stunner in the first 5 minutes, but. That's the way things go from there.
We rallied. You rallied.
Yeah, we rallied. I'm saying after Boxing Day, coming into tonight's game, I felt buoyant. I felt confident that we would go there and get a result. We didn't lose. People need to remember we are in a difficult period of a season. 3 games in 9 days, and 2 of those are away from home. And we're actually going to Lincoln on the 2nd of Jan on the Sunday. They haven't lost a home game this season. I think they've won. What was it, 2 or 3 and drawn about 8, I think, and lost none.
Got to get 3 points though, Phil. Got to get those 3 points back we gave them.
Yes, we definitely owed them. We definitely owed them, and still going into that game on the 2nd of January, I still feel confident. I think that tonight, I think probably McKenna is not being completely honest with us in terms of players being ill. I think that. I was a bit surprised tonight that he stuck with the same starting 11 as he did from Boxing Day. I thought that it would make 2 or 3 changes. I thought maybe Greg Lee would come in for Davis. I thought Edwards might have started in place of Burns. If Burns was unwell after the game on Boxing Day, then perhaps I was expecting that from McKenna. But
sure.
I mean, why would you change a winning team?
I've got a couple of questions from the chat for you, if that's all right, Phil. First of all, from Curtis. It's 2 from Curtis, actually. A genuine question. Are we starting to see teams slowly figure out McKenna's main game plan?
I said this a few weeks ago, and I think I slightly agree with Curtis. I think in the second half of the season, teams will have a better idea of how other teams play in this division, and they'll change their own formation. They'll change their own the way they play to counteract what they've experienced in the earlier part of the season. Sure. Now you'd expect that. You'd expect teams in the second half of the season to figure out what the leaders are doing. I'm not worried about this because I trust McKenna. Tonight, okay, we weren't at our best, but Portsmouth are not a good footballing team.
But then, the fisherman at home would say, then that makes the point not a good one. Just to speak for Mike.
Look, 2 goals away from home. Mm-hmm. We're not going to play brilliant football every game.
No, that's true.
No, And for me, I would have taken at least a point because, we've now scored 5 goals in 2 games, 2 games in 3 or 4 days. There's some players there that are, let's face it, they're unwell and they're struggling a little bit for that consistency. And the performance level tonight, it wasn't the same level as what they had against Oxford. It was a lesser.
Portsmouth are also playing a little bit for their manager. I'm not saying Oxford aren't, but Portsmouth, have also got those they're booed off the pitch for crying out loud after a
exactly
with a second place side. So you've got to take all those and weigh and counter measure it and all those different things. The second question from Curtis is, why does Kyle Edwards seem to not want to take his man on like he used to? Has he been coached to stop doing that, do you feel? Because that's what made him exciting for Curtis. What are your thoughts on Kyle Edwards? Not particularly that point there, but what are your thoughts on Kyle Edwards as a player off the bench?
I'll just say again, I said it a moment ago, that I think that tonight McKenna, got the team playing a certain way, and it wasn't pretty on the eye. It was a bit hesitant. It was a bit lethargic. In the second half when we needed to push forward.
Sure.
When they got their second, I think there was a reaction there. I did see there was some urgency in those players, but the last sort of 20-25 minutes, you could see that the players were not performing at their best. And I think the busy Christmas period, it does take it out of the players, especially, with the same 11 players starting, 3 days after, a real good performance against Oxford. I'm not downbeat about this. I think that there's too many people saying, just because, our promotion rivals won and we didn't, they're downbeat. Okay, and I still feel confident and buoyant about it. I still think we'll go to Lincoln and win.
And then 7 out of the 9 will be a good return. Your man of the match before I let you go.
Difficult one. I thought Evans played well in the first half. I think for me, Chappers getting that important second goal tonight was key. Sure. So I'd probably lean towards Chappers, even perhaps maybe his performance level wasn't quite as good as Evans, but crucially for me, he got the goal. And also the chances that there was a chance that Chappers had that just went wide of the right-hand post. And also Ladapo, I think it was Ladapo that just screwed it wide.
Yeah, just dragged it a little bit wide.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying I was watching on the iFollow tonight, and the camera. There were times when Town were on the attack, they switched the camera angle, and I don't know why they were doing that. They kind of cut away from. There was some of the chances that we were created during the game when we got forward. They kind of cut away to either the Portsmouth goalkeeper or not. I didn't understand that. I don't understand why they were doing that.
Not the director on this particular project, so can't comment.
Yeah.
But Phil, as always, a pleasure. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you, my brother.
You too. Happy New Year.
All the best. We've got one ball said best wishes to all in 2023, and thank you for the great content in 2022. It's my pleasure. One ball. Thanks so much for joining us. We are live again tomorrow, 8:30. Rich, Matt. I mean, I probably will just produce it if I'm brutally honest, unless I ever, Lazarus, Ipswich Town FC medical team intervention. I can see me probably just not being on that one. But anyway, I've got 3 waiting. I'll try and get all 3 of you on, but if you don't get on, there's always tomorrow evening. But man is flagging a little bit. Leander, I'll bring you in first and foremost. How are you, sir? I've got a couple of comments here. If you want to sort of bounce back off that. James said disappointment comes from immediacy and passion. Definitely see where you're coming from. Got to keep the faith, not spread too much negativity when we're in a good position. The good doctor says disappointed, not to get a win, but there was some very good play within a more average performance and making sure of the point away. I'm all right with that. Slipping to third would have been worse. What are your sort of counterpoints or add-ons to that?
Well, I think we tried to. I think the game plan was pretty much implemented as much as it could be. And again, we've been done by this lump to the back post, haven't we? And a header back across, and we've conceded a goal. That's the only downside to tonight, is the fact how we've conceded the second goal. Apart from that, we've dominated the game. We haven't created all the chances that we needed to. But a few weeks ago, when we conceded 2 goals in injury time, there was people moaning and complaining that we ain't got any bottle and stuff. And we've kept our game plan tonight. We've kept going, and we've got the equaliser with a couple of minutes to go. and we looked like the team that wanted to go on and win the game. If you're a football fan, what more do you want from your team? I am on the floor.
I am on the floor.
I'm on the floor.
He's on
I'm on the floor. Yeah. So, let's be positive. I mean, let's be positive. Let's see where we are, or let's look where we are. We're second in the table. Let's not worry about other teams. Let's just concentrate on ourselves and keep going. So I thought the points made about another striker, I think someone mentioned Jackson earlier. The problem we've got is Jackson likes spacing behind. We brought him on second half. There's the restriction. It's not that we don't need Jackson. It's just that you want that other central striker that is maybe good in the air or holding the ball up when we're chasing the game, when teams sit right back behind us. And that's the only negative with the squad, I would say, at the moment, in terms of another striker that can replace Ladapo in the same way rather than somebody that runs in behind, because we put Jackson on at 2-1. You want to bring Jackson on when we're winning 2-1 because he'll exploit the space in behind. So there's an inconsistent, there's a sort of a weakness there. But I thought, we huffed and puffed a bit, but we kept dominating the ball, and that's our style. That's what we do. And we had lots of possession on a difficult pitch. We kept the ball moving. We tried to make chances, and it doesn't always come off. But just going back to the point on Edwards, where someone says, "Is it coached out of him?" I think it was Curtis.
Yes,
I don't think Kieran McKenna sends Kyle Edwards onto the pitch to tell him not to take his fullback on. I think he gets him on the pitch to tell him to probably take the fullback on. So that's down to Edwards to do that. And I think there was a couple of times when the ball should have gone out to him from Aluko, and he didn't. He went back inside when we should have knocked the ball out to him. And that's when you want Edwards running in that final third. When he did get the ball, he seemed to be too far back up the pitch, and he was playing it inside or trying to go inside. But again, if you've got these players that can take players on and beat players, you've got to give them the ball in the right areas and enough of the time. And perhaps we didn't do that enough for Edwards tonight. So that that wasn't great. I didn't think Burns was brilliant again tonight. He gets in those one-on-ones. I think we're starting to see now people have worked Burns out a bit. They'll stand off him. Again, he was doubled up a lot of the time. So he passes the ball inside to create the overload somewhere else. The fact that if there's two people on Burns, that's a start, because he's drawing two defenders over. That's given someone else a chance, plays the ball inside to pick up the free space somewhere else.
I'd really like a right winger brought in the window, just to give a little bit of competition to Burns, provide a little insurance, have a little bit of a flash, because I do keep coming back to what I've written down here at the start of the show: lack of impact players from the bench. Aluko keeps the ball well, but his stats do not scream impact. Caden Jackson stats do not scream impact. Kyle Edwards, raw, exciting, but again, is he a surefire, proven impact player? Not really. But there are three players you can still bring on with two additionals, with the 5 sub rule. So for me, we've got to get impact players at McKenna's disposal so he can really affect the change. I mean, West Brom in the Championship are flying because Carlos Corberán is implementing those 5 subs and having those impact players come on and making things work and tick. Tonight, didn't have those impact players to play a plan B, let alone even think of one.
I think they are, but they're not. I don't think when Luku come on, he did anything spectacular, and players are sitting behind the ball, and it's almost like, what are you bringing them on for? I think once you bring on Jackson in that situation, like I said earlier, you're struggling. And Luku didn't have a great game. You want Edwards to get the ball and take players on, go around the outside. If he loses the ball quite often, maybe he's a bit safe. You need to tell him. I think McKenna stands. I would be telling Edwards, I'll be whispering in his ear when he's going on, get the ball wide, beat that player down the outside, and run for the run. Just run at them. I don't care if you lose the ball. I'm not fussed. Just get the ball and run at them. And I think he's got that in him. But he's one of the most frustrating players, because I think he's an absolute fantastic player when he's on it, and it's a player that we need. but he just seems to. Does he just shy away at the wrong time? But yeah, we could. Is there other players to bring on? A game changer? I'm not sure it is. I mean, the Fisherman didn't say a lot that I agree with tonight, but do you bring Humphreys on? But who do you bring him on for? I mean, Evans and Morsey are dominating the midfield, regardless of what we say about possession and that. They're dominating the midfield. So as a coach, you don't really want to change them two. You still got to have that base to play around. So who does he come on for? Does he come on for Chaplin? There's only so many. There's only so many.
Not for me, because he's an impact player.
Chaplin
will always provide that impact, or certainly 9 times out of 10 he'll provide a spark or an impact.
Yeah, but Chaplin's now our leading goal scorer. So would you take him? What would you take him off for unless he's injured? Because he scored that goal tonight. And if you're going to ask me who the man of the match is,
I am.
It's the linesman. The linesman at either end. The linesman at either end. I think. I'm not sure about the first one. I think.
The second one, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Well, it's hard to see the second one, but he must have been onside because the linesman would have seen the second one. The first one was more difficult, and you would have been really peed if that had been flagged off. Because I don't think when the goal was scored, I don't think he was offside. The only person who was offside was Wes Burns at the initial run, and the ball went miles over his head. Ladapo missed it. And we scored. So I don't think that didn't look too bad to me. But you can't see from the angle for the second goal. But there was no complaints from the Portsmouth players.
No, absolutely
no complaints. And we kept going. We just kept going. And we might look back at this point and say, yeah, it was a good point. We might not.
Exactly. Time will tell. Yeah. Harry Hindsight will be the best football pundit come May.
Yeah, and just before, I know you got time. I hope you're going to feel better. Hope the wife's okay. And just a shout out to Pele, one of the greatest players to ever grace the turf. Apart from that, thanks very much. And thanks for all you've done this year. You and the other guys, it's been great. And look after the missus and the family.
Absolutely.
Take care, guys.
We appreciate you. All the best. Happy New Year to you. I'm gutted. I've seen so many as a mediocre. It's going to be our downfall. Teams defending, we struggle. If teams open out, we will probably work them out and win. I think we are soft away from home. I'm going to finish with Ben. So the other person waiting, you are first on tomorrow night if you are able to. If you're not, I do apologise. Thank you for hanging on in there. But Ben Moore, welcome in. Ben, I've got a couple of comments. I'll start with you if that's all right. James Elmer, Lincoln, must-win game now.
Yeah, I think if you look at the results that went against us, Plymouth won, Sheffield Wednesday won, we need to go and beat Lincoln.
And then 7 from 9 will be a good return, no?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. How did you see the game tonight? Who sort of stood out for you, Ben?
Taylor 2 first halves, we were 4 first half. I thought they were the better side. For bits of the second half, we had all the possession, couldn't score. And it was scored off a rebound, probably just scored earlier. It's just one of them games.
Yeah,
how did you so many times this season?
Oh, apologies. Yeah, how did you see Marcus Harness? Obviously, second game in 2 days, just fresh off that injury. How did you see his second game in 2 days?
Very quiet. I thought we probably could have. For me, I would have played Edwards over Harness.
Okay. Particular reason why?
Just attack. If you pin that Zach Swanson down, and then if you pin the other wing back, they don't really offer anything.
Well, yeah, is that Zach Swanson?
Yeah, used to be at Arsenal.
FM legend. Always a free transfer on the FM games, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, always.
Absolutely. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm alright. Just
disappointed.
Disappointed. I thought if you're going to go long to Dapo. Don't go long to Jackson. If they're sitting 9 men behind or in front of us, Jackson's got no space to run it behind.
Yeah, but then is that a sign of, sort of circle back to what I mentioned earlier in the show, the lack of impact players? That is, he's more of a wide forward for me, but that's all you've got.
Yeah.
Ben.
I mean, yeah, you look at the Greg Lee isn't Lee Davis. I don't see what Greg Lee offers in an attacking area.
That was a Miles Pinlock away at Fleetwood under Paul Cook for me. I was like, oh no.
Oh, that really was.
Like, what are we doing?
You look at the right back. JD isn't KPY going forward, so I think that needs to be addressed. I do think we need a backup to Wes Burns. We need probably 2 strikers in. If you're seeing Jackson as a wide forward, I think you need 2 strikers. I think we need a number 10. Luco didn't offer anything on Monday, didn't offer anything again tonight.
Okay. Perfect comments there, Ben. We appreciate you coming on. You look after yourself, all right?
Yeah, I will, mate.
Good,
man.
You
updated.
Yeah, absolutely. You got on that Discord. We'll chat on there. All the best.
Yeah.
All right. And you can join Ben on the Discord by becoming a Talking Town 5th Standards today. Hit the join button on YouTube or head to our Ko-Fi site, $4.99. You get access to the Discord 24/7, 365, ITFC chat, debate, opinion. I'm probably sure the Cruncher and the Mogul have been on there already this evening, and they'll be with me tomorrow, or certainly they will be here tomorrow at 8:30 for Talking Town, the last of 2022. So join us for that. We've got a couple of things in, no special guests. Don't get carried away. Just a couple of things, segments in store. But I am the Gov, battling through, gutting the last 50 minutes out. I've done my game. I've run my race. I am now seeing the substitute board, and my numbers have been called. But I am the Gov. This is Talking Town. One club, one community, one Ipswich Town. The platform for fans, by fans. Hit that like button if you can't. Support us through Ko-Fi or by joining the YouTube channel. And until tomorrow, disappointing evening, but we go again. You make me smile when I think of you. If I